The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki. Hello, here I am. Welcome to the show. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. Noah is pregnant. We've already talked about it on 2 episodes, but I just, in case people just like missed last week, we just want to jump in. Taylor is here. Woo! Brian's here. Noah's here.
Not pregnant.
Yeah. I like how you looked shocked at that information.
Because I didn't know. I almost said it on the pod a couple times,
almost
but
said
I didn't want
so many times.
I don't know if I was messing up.
No, have there been any moments where besties could have gleaned it from just like little things we said or that you had to like edit out? Or is there anything that did get by that you're like, oh, if they figured it out, they figured it out? Besides your huge honker tits.
Well,
I can't get by no man.
I don't know. I think I did see a comment like a long time ago, but it's not, it didn't have to do with this pregnancy.
What size is your baby today based on like the fruit it tells you it is?
I didn't check, but I think last week it was like an endive or something like that.
Endive. Okay. Or an endive.
Endive.
Can't they use a more common fruit to...
Wait, you called it endive?
Yeah.
And she calls it an endive, and I call it an endive.
I said it wrong.
No, you said what do you call it, Brian? Because it'll be the right thing.
Endive.
Yes, I was right.
It's a leaf vegetable belonging to the genus.
Are you good? Did you Google this?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, what is an
How
endive?
did you already look it up?
It's really endive. I thought I saw
I love endives.
and someone said it's endive, but they're probably
that's probably
with me.
They were probably from Provence.
Oh, they're
it's
from
definitely
Provence.
that's French.
Yeah,
Endive is how you
endive.
pronounce it French.
Yeah.
Oh God, so embarrassing if I ever said that out
And
loud.
also
No,
correcting
that's not
you
bad.
is also very French.
Okay, this week
We're
it's
all
actually
Chanté.
next week it'll be, or this week, it's a cauliflower. Mmm.
Oh my God.
Wait a second. No. That's
regular
humongous.
baby.
A
size.
cauliflower is this big.
Yeah, I
Maybe
want
it's a small
That is as big.
cauliflower.
That's a big. And I don't want you to push a cauliflower through. Like that's too big of a bulbous thing. It should be like the size of a baby. But I guess all things aren't size of like.
yeah, an
I think
endive isn't.
endive at least has a length to it. I think, and even maybe like a summer squash or something. I would accept as a.
But the
answer.
baby is in a ball.
What's next week is going to be a pumpkin.
It's a stupid
Or,
system because fruits are different sizes. Like you can say it's the size of an apple, and then it's like, well, how many different sizes of apples?
What kind
are
of
there?
apple?
Yeah, what kind of apple?
What's the smallest apple, Brian?
Crab apple?
Oh,
Crab apple.
I have one of those
apples,
stupid.
Those are the ones you find in your yard.
Yeah,
Correct?
I have one of those
Yeah.
stupid online. How do you say endive or endive?
Oh, I love these YouTube videos that take so long to pronounce it. Let's do it.
Oh yeah. I wanna
Let's see
see
if this.
Are you able to like share your
Oh,
screen?
did you hear
or
that?
anything?
Can you hear it?
No, what did it
It
say?
said endive. So your endive friend is a jackass who deserves to be
I'm
sent
gonna
to
dive off
Iraq.
a cliff for that one.
They definitely were in chef school. Endive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of words that I've learned that I've said
I've never
wrong.
met anyone in
I
chef
will say-
school.
They basically said
Yeah.
to you, no, well, in French it's endive, but it's like we're speaking English, so
Yeah, it's not cool to correct people, but I
stood
can't help
corrected
myself.
at that point, and I'm gonna sit back down and stand.
Oh
again,
man, doesn't it feel
corrected.
so good when you're right
Yeah.
when you've been corrected? Did you ever see that clip of Jennifer Garner correcting Conan?
For
It's
what?
so good because she goes, "What? Oh, will you look it up, Brian?"
yeah, I'll look up anything.
Thank you. You're the best. She's like, "Oh, Conan, you should know that. You went to Harvard." And he goes, and then they cut to a clip next of like after the commercial break, they get a dictionary and he's like, snook. Instead of like sneaked, he said snook past it. And she goes, "It's sneaked, Conan. You should know that. You went to Harvard." And he goes, "Snook, the past tense of sneak." And she's just sitting there like,
Are you serious?
So
It's
embarrassed.
Snook?
I think
snuck.
maybe it's the other way around.
He got a Conan dictionary.
No, she said, sneaked isn't a word or so. It was it was something with snook or sneak.
Is it Jennifer Garner? Yeah, it's Garner.
it's the word snuck.
What did I say?
I don't know.
it's Jennifer Garner.
Yeah.
Garnier.
Jennifer Garner, who has the deepest grr of all the celebrities. Capital One credit card. She's so cute. I really like Jennifer Garner. I have no shade to throw her way,
Oh,
but
I
that was a
don't
great
either.
moment in television history. Much like there's so many good Conan moments. You'll probably know some of them. I mean, Taylor and I became obsessed with this Conan it was like a 5-year anniversary special that he did on. I have it memorized.
Me too.
We watched that so much. My dad recorded
had
on
it
VHS,
still.
and that's how we discovered Conan. My dad was like, "This guy seems pretty funny." But the Norm Macdonald moment where this woman is on promoting her movie with Carrot Top, and she like Courtney Thorne Smith.
Oh yeah.
And Conan's interviewing her, and Norm Macdonald's already been the first guest, so he's further down on the couch. And he's like, and everyone's seen this. I don't even need to repeat it, but it's like, he goes, so you're in this movie with Carrot Top, title undetermined. And Norm goes, oh, I know what it's called. And he goes, oh, do you, Norm?
And everybody's already laughing.
Yeah. Is it called Box Office Poison? If it has Carrot Top in it, it might be called Box Office Poison. And then she goes, it's called Chairman of the Board. And Conan goes, yeah, do something with that, you freak. And Norm just takes a beat and he goes, is the board spelled B-O-R-E-D? And Conan, his reaction of like flailing forward and then he
hits the deck.
Yeah, he hits the desk and then he jumps up and he like walks around the desk. It's like one of the greatest moments of TV ever.
Oh my God.
It's
There's so
good.
many good Norm
Norm is
clip
so
moments.
snooky
I mean,
when he's doing
I don't think there's any comedian who has better clips overall than Norm Macdonald. Every clip of his is like incredible.
He is incredible.
But like it's so funny that I remember hearing that he would go to the Funny Bone in St. Louis and he like in the last years of his life would walk the room, meaning like people would leave his show. Who I guess they just knew him from SNL and like movies and TV, but
That's
people
weird.
would leave. Who doesn't? Did you ever hear of this
but I
happen?
feel like if you're going to see Norm Macdonald, did he like show up unexpected and then they?
No, I think they would like go
if
to
you're
see
going
him.
to see him, then you should know like who he is and what he's going to do up there. What could he possibly do?
He just didn't care.
Maybe he was like going off the
I love
rails.
when someone doesn't care. I saw some reel yesterday that was like, who was it? They were talking about don't do anything for your audience. It might have been Lady Gaga, like someone who's already successful because they've obviously catered to an audience. But now they can just say like, I don't need to cater to audiences anymore. Don't give the audience what they want. Do what you want to do, which I think is true because the audience does want what you do. They can think the way they think already. They need to see something special.
Yeah, that works if you're like if you're like an incredibly talented and narcissistic person who has the natural ability to do something compelling. But if you're just a guy trying to make it, then you kind of have to give people what they want.
Yeah, you do. I think I always toe that line of like, the only reason I'm doing it is because I want them to like me. And so it's weird to be like, I'm going to do what I want to do. But maybe I'm trying to get myself to like me.
People want your creative endeavor. And I think that like the true creative people just do whatever's in their soul.
Yeah, but some of those people are annoying and no one wants to see that shit. And so you go up there and you do what you want and not the audience. And they're like, we hate this and this sucks. And I think that's
There's
most
always
people.
something for someone.
50 said, go ahead and switch your style up. And if they hate, they're going to hate and watch the money pile up.
Oh, wait a second. Go ahead and switch your style up. And if they're hate, they're going to hate and watch the money pile up.
That's the same concept.
But then it won't pile up because it's hate.
Yeah, well, that's what... If you're
that's
50
what I thought.
Cent or you're Kanye West or something.
Because you're
it
already
works.
famous. You can ride that fame even when you're not
50
doing
Cent.
good stuff a little bit longer. Jeff Tweedy said, if you feel like singing a song and you want other people to sing along, just sing what you feel. Don't let anyone say it's wrong. And that kind of speaks to that. If you're trying to paint a picture and you're not sure which colors belong, just paint what you see and something else that rhymes with that.
But how many people sang what they want to sing and then the audience goes, I don't know, I feel like you should teach.
Boo.
This sucks.
Yes.
I don't really want to sing. I mean, that's almost everybody.
I gotta be honest though. No, I don't know. I think it is such a talent to be able to tap into what you truly think and to not follow the Judy Carter comedy book, or if we're talking about comedy, and to actually not just copy someone else, be a facsimile. Like I'm learning through singing lessons. Like it is, I've talked about it ad nauseum, but just finding your voice, finding what I sound like without trying to sound like someone else is so hard. It's harder than the hardest Pilates move. it's not even a thing I can see somewhere where I'm like, oh, I can get it. Like it seems to be almost like it doesn't exist, but I know it exists somewhere. I just have to find it. And once I find it, it will be so freeing because it will be like, oh, I can just stay here now. I can rest. I don't need to try anymore. I can just be this. But it requires such skill, and skill meaning letting go and not caring what people think, not worrying about sounding bad, not worrying that you don't sound like Taylor Swift, not worrying that you don't sound like Ariana Grande, not worrying that you don't sound like whoever you are used. Because I'm not writing songs, so I can't. If I write my own song, I could probably sing it like Nikki Glaser a little bit better. But if I'm singing a song that's already like a Rob Thomas song, there's a part of me that's like, oh, like I am gonna mimic it, and that is so hard to do. So I do think when you said become a teacher, I thought of like the comedians who I think just go back to teaching or just like drop out. They are trying to be someone other than what they are. Almost all of them are trying to be another comedian or just they're hacks. And I mean that with love because I've been a hack before too. Like I'm a hack when I'm sing. Like I'm just trying to sound like what, because it's not because I'm trying to sound like someone else. I don't know how to sound like myself. And I think that that is the skill of being an artist is being unique. My voice teacher and I got into we spent the whole lesson yesterday talking about this, and then it was so weird because it was echoed when I went to see Tyler Henry last night with Taylor, which we'll get into later on in the show. Like growing up, if you are just told, which I think is a mind-boggling thing, like what makes you weird, let's say the word weird as in good, like unique, what makes you different from other kids is what you should lean in towards, like is what you should cultivate, is what everyone should encourage in you. And I just didn't grow up with that. I don't think anyone before my generation grew up with that. And now kids, I can't even imagine what kids are going to be capable of if they feel, and I don't think all kids grow up with this. I still go to Starbucks in, the Frontenac area of St. Louis, and they're all wearing leggings. They're all wearing baggy sweatshirts. They're all wearing the same socks. They're all wearing the same shoes. Like kids are still trying to fit in with each other. No one really does like to be weird. It's hard to be weird. But if somehow your parents can make you feel really cool about being weird, which by the way, Taylor, you've always been unique and different and never been trying to be like other people. How did you not have shame about being different and like liking the things you like? Like Taylor would have like anthropology books on her all the time with like bug books where she'd be looking at bugs and drawing. Like your interests that are you now is the same you in high school. It didn't seem like you were really trying to fit in.
I think I was thinking this when you were talking about the people at Frontenac too. I think there's a thing like if you don't look like everyone and you're never gonna be like, I could not have been like a pretty girl. I was like red hair and like
give up.
Yeah, and I just didn't have money to like buy nice clothes, so I had to go to Goodwill. And then I was like, well, I'm already shopping at Goodwill, and so I'm just gonna buy these weird clothes that I like.
Yes.
And so if you have the ability to like, also I was never made to like play sports or do anything normal in my life.
That's a good point.
So once I didn't have a lot of people around to compare myself to, and we were like moving a lot.
Yeah, but I do think you're right. I kind of relate to doing the things if you're able to do them. Like you go, oh, I guess I have to fit in because I can't afford the clothes. I can't for me, it's
no
like
one's gonna take the road less traveled.
That's why I always tell people that like can't get face work done or Botox and stuff, and they're like, I look horrible. I'm
Accept
like,
it,
you
like
should be glad. There's a part of me that wishes, and I know this sounds, everyone's gonna roll their eyes at this because I would too, but there's a part of me that like hates that I can afford that stuff because I can look a certain way. I can look like Kylie Jenner if I wanted to.
The bar
and I'm
will
failing
keep moving.
if I don't do it. But if I just said I didn't have enough money to do it, but I could really just change the narrative and say, I don't have the interest in doing that. Like, let's talk about like, I just don't have, you could find some way to get there that isn't related to money of like, I just don't have it in me to do that. So I'm not going to do it.
I say thank God that we do hammer the uniqueness and creativity out of children at a young age, because I think if it's like a Montessori school or being homeschooled, it's like if every kid in the world was like that, it'd be like a chaos out there.
Oh God.
If a kid's
So
like,
much attention
we should eat
needed.
carrots with our feet, and then you let them do it for their whole lives, then you go to Target and they're a freak riding in on a razor
But
scooter,
people are eating carrots with their feet.
Rastafarian hat, even though they're white, and it's like, we don't need more freaks like you in the world. be normal.
Yes, we do.
The world would be annoying.
As long as they like have humility. As long as they like have humility about
That's
it.
What happens when you go to a Montessori
I think there's two separate weirdos.
They become so confident in their horror.
No pride.
Yeah, no pride out of it.
We take pride out of it because that's the new thing that I've read about. Pride is like the worst quality you can have. You should be grateful, but no pride.
And entitlement and like,
yes,
I'm so special. My mom said I was so special and
perfect.
The
special thing
I saw a 20-something-year-old.
You don't need to do.
I was like CVS yesterday who rode in on a Razor scooter wearing a Jamaican flag jacket, white kid, and he purchased 2 boxes of Cinnamon Toast Crunch with coins. I don't think we need more of that.
So it was me.
I don't think that kid has good parents necessarily. I think that kid is rebelling about being told to fit in.
Right.
You know, like
that's that's the second way.
That's the second way.
Rebellion.
Did not receive enough attention.
Or they told him you can do whatever you want to do, and he chose to be a Razor scooter Rastafarian who eats Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and everyone.
No, I don't think he had parents that. I think this is a rebellion thing, but you could be right. I just think that it would have just been. I wouldn't have believed my parents that they're like the reason, like you wet the bed and that makes you special or so. You know, like that makes you. You should lean into that. I don't think I would have bought it. I would have been like, ew, you guys are just like placating me. But there is something about, and then Tyler Henry last night said the exact same thing. He was like about to start his readings and he was talking about being like kind of a weird kid that was a loner and that obviously he could talk to, like he got spirits talking to him and stuff. And he had to come out to his dad as a medium, which is a funny thing because he's also a gay man. And so he's talking about coming out and he kind of, you could tell like either he's a really funny person. So I wouldn't question if he wrote his own thing. But you could tell it's been punched up really well. So he like sits his dad down and he's like, Dad, I'm getting these feelings and I've gotten them since I was around 10 or 11. Like it was all like stuff that was leading to gay. And the audience is kind of like snickering because he hasn't said he's gay yet, but we all know because he's gay. And so then he's like, so I had to come out to my dad as a medium. And he was like, don't worry, I didn't say gay. I didn't want to drop 2 bombs on him at the same time because his dad and him weren't close. But then his dad took him home and didn't know what it even meant. But his dad, I couldn't really follow it, but his dad got out a yearbook and was like, look through this yearbook and see what you can tell me. And he was able to pick out the 3 people in his dad's class who died tragically.
Oh, wow.
And his dad was like, didn't know what it was, but like believed him and then supported him after that. And I don't know if they had a great relationship, but at least he was like, I had parents that didn't quiet this ghost voice in my head. That was and
now
look at him now.
He's been untreated for his mental illness for like 30 years now.
Yeah, my mom literally sent me to the psych ward when I said I was psychic when I was a kid.
She did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you're psychic now?
Yeah.
What? We'll get into this when we get back. This is the first time hearing that one of my best friends is psychic. What the fuck? Okay,
not like TH.
Not like Tyler Henry.
No.
He said yesterday he landed in St. Louis and it was so cold. He was like, I got off the plane. I was like, oh, I'm a tricycle. And my sister and I and Taylor all were like, wait, we don't understand this. We like forgot his name was Tyler. And so I was like, what's a tricycle? Like, was he on a bicycle? Like, is he just rhyming tricycle? It was he's so cute. I can't even stand it. Okay, we'll talk about it when we get back. But Taylor already knows that because she's psychic. All right, we're back. Taylor, what do you mean you're psychic? And how did you know that as a kid? And why are you kept so many secrets from me as a kid.
You knew that.
I know you're like tapped into other things and you're like,
I'm psychic,
very
but
smart.
it's very boring psychic stuff. I don't ever see a dead person or know anything that's important. I'll just know things that are going to happen. I know I'm going to see somebody. I knew like that my cat was going to die.
Well, yeah, because your cat was old.
I know, but I knew that she was going to die like that day. Like I would like see stuff like that.
If you got a vision I was going to die, would you call me and tell me? Do you get a vision or you get a feeling or it's like, what is it? Because Tyler Henry said the first time he got it, he just says his grandma died and he just woke up in the middle of the night with a sense of like, he felt a memory that hadn't happened yet. That's what it felt like. Whatever that means. Side note, have you guys heard of this thing called aphantasia? You'd be fascinated by it, Taylor.
The Disney princess?
No, I heard of it's like synth synesthesia or something like that.
Yeah, synesthesia, where people can see sounds or whatever in colors. Okay, aphantasia, aphantasia, is where people can't picture things in their mind. And I think it's 1% of people
that can't think.
So even last night, Tyler Henry kept saying, I'm seeing this in my mind's eye. And most people know what that means. Like, I tell you to picture
they can't picture
a blue apple, and you picture it. People can't picture an apple, but they just.
How did they find that out?
Because somebody kept going, I can't picture it until they took them to the doctor. Like, and then it was actually, I watched a whole YouTube documentary about it. It was like first documented in like hundreds of years ago of people not being able to see, picture things in their mind. And it's go down a wormhole on YouTube. It's so interesting to see these people be like, I'm not seeing anything when you say that. They just don't see anything. I can't really talk about it more than that because that's all I know, but it was just it's a really fascinating.
That's all they can say.
That's really, that's all I can see. I can't
see it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Next question.
But there are some things you can't, what you couldn't just, whenever you try to describe color to a blind person, you go like, oh, I don't even know how to describe it. There's no way to describe that. I think that's what Tyler Henry probably suffers with trying to describe what he's feeling.
Right.
Because he also said that, so we went to the show last night at a 2,500 seat venue.
Who went?
And he was telling us all that,
Who went?
What was that, babe? Oh, it was me, my mom, my dad, my sister, and Taylor. 5 of us. It was awesome. I played the Factory before, so it was cool to go back to that venue and see it from the audience perspective. It's a great venue out in Chesterfield, St. Louis. And we went to dinner beforehand, and then we went out there. It was a snowy winter's eve. There was a wintry mix in there. Taylor kept saying, wintry mix, suck my dicks. We were laughing really hard on the way there. And we, so he was talking about, what was I going to say? About when people come through, like, I forgot what
someone asked, like, do you see it? Maybe the same
he doesn't see people. Well,
feel it.
Yeah. So he started off with like the first part of his show was just telling like people who he is, what his story is, how he came to be, and all of this stuff. And it was really good. And then he's like, and then we're gonna get into audience readings. And as he's finishing up, I remember what it was. He said that when he, people always want to know what happens after we die. He's like, I don't know, but I just know that there's something else, right? And then it was like, he said he's asked them before, like, what happens when we die, like, or whatever. And they always kind of laugh at him when he asks that. He's felt over the years, the spirits are kind of like, oh, you sweet child. And he said it's like would be explaining calculus to a squirrel, is how spirits look at us to try to understand what happens next.
They're in a different level of
they can't like.
So
and then
when you die, you become like a
down
super genius who is then condescending to humanity. All of them.
You become like Sam Harris. I think you become like ascended into like a different level of intelligence.
I wish you would have been here, Brian, because I would be interested to think. Because the whole time I'm like, Taylor, do you think he's a fraud? Or do you like? Because I'm so bought in. I'm
from
not
doing
ever
my
gonna
podcast
not be
for 7 years. I've met so many of these people. I've interviewed many of these people. I'm just so hardwired to be like, oh, you're a con artist. Because once you dig into any of these guys, the more information you learn, the less believable they become across the board.
Well, dig into Tyler Henry for me.
I want you to
I would
dig in.
love for you to dig in just a little bit. I don't want to put you to work,
fake.
but I would love for you to enlighten me or enlighten yourself, because I just feel like there was so many chances for him throughout the night to prey on people giving too much information or
and he'd go like, no, that's not it.
He's like,
that's
no, and he's like, I'm sorry, I keep getting this thing about a hair salon, and they're like, there's no hair salons. He's like, well, you better go home and like look into it, because that's what's going on. Or there's so many funny moments, but he was talking about so he's finishing up his like pretty like pre-written monologue piece. And he's at the very end of it. He's like, I'm going to share 2 anecdotes with you, and then I'm going to tell you how they apply to everything that we're going to get to the readings. He starts the second anecdote, and then he's like, okay, wait, hold on. Someone's coming through. They're already starting to come through. Like, they're already like lining up in my brain. Like, they're people here tonight. And he felt like I mean, it could have been performative, 100%. People can act all different things. Yeah. But it felt real to me.
He was like stuttering and couldn't finish what he was saying.
Yeah, and he's not someone that looks kind of like he wants to be uncomfortable on stage. Yeah. Like he's trying to do a good job. And this was an awkward moment of like, he looked like he was having a heart attack or something. Like something bad was like a stroke or something. He's suddenly like just stopped talking, was like, okay, sorry. Oh my God, someone's coming through. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so Juliana Rancic would stop it, Brian.
Brian.
Imagine that this is just real for the sake of the.
It's like someone who has a Bluetooth headset on is Tyler Henry. Well, sorry. No, wait, afterwards. Yeah, 3 pizzas, cheese. Yes, thank you. Okay, what were you saying? Yeah,
hair salon. I will say that so we met Tyler after the show, and the guy that I had the contact with to meet Tyler, I was texting with. He shows up to get us out of the audience after the show, and we're kind of chatting a little bit before Tyler's ready to meet. And he's like, because we were talking about like, is he going to be exhausted after this? He's like, he usually is like feels free after these shows because it's all the spirits are coming through before, and it like really tires him out. He's like, every time we're on a plane on the way somewhere, people start coming through. He starts getting like sick. He starts like, it just like, so much tension. And then he goes, so after the show, he's usually going to feel pretty free and like relieved. There's going to be like a immense like pressure that's off him. But he said, but we have a show in Kansas City on Thursday. And we went to the show on Tuesday. And he said, so it's just going to start again tomorrow. He was like, we don't usually do shows back to back like this. So if he was a money grubby, like charlatan, he would have his shows back to back like the way I do it. But smart. He can't do that because
he's smarter than that.
He's coming up with a thing to trick us all.
He knows that if I just did these back to back, and I didn't, the whole I'm too tired and weak is from performing for 3 hours on stage, tricking grieving people into believing that their loved ones are talking to them. That's hard work.
But also the producer said that he would be on the plane and being like, oh, like this woman's wife is gonna, this man's wife is gonna come through. And it's going to be really hard on her.
That's him writing.
Blah, blah, blah.
And then
I
do want to say it is my fervent desire for this guy to be real. There is nothing in the world I want more than for like ghosts to be real and for there to be an afterlife. Nothing. The number one thing I would want in the entire world is for there to be something after death. That's so. I hope he's true. I hope he's real. I hope he's talking to ghosts. I hope he's right. But I tend to believe that he is a narcissist probably who just has convinced everybody that
Taylor knows personality disorders.
I don't think it's a personality disorder.
Taylor's a skeptic as well.
I'm a skeptic,
but maybe he's.
But
what do you think?
If he's faking, then he is not aware. Then it's coming. Something is coming.
It must
then
be
he's
subconsciously. Then he's mentally ill.
But he's definitely not putting it on, and it's not like.
Or the mental illness is that
like
he's just it worked, so he's just getting this positive feedback, and he's just like, let me just keep building this thing. I'm sure the first time he did his, I can hear ghosts. 3,000 people didn't line up to buy tickets to see him, but for
no, they didn't. He was going to be a hospice nurse, so he went to school to be a hospice nurse. And when he was there, he did a reading for his dean because he was getting I forget how it happened, but he ended up doing a reading for the dean of the school. And he was so moved by it that he was like, you should do this professionally. And then Tyler dropped out of school like instantly. And then
he's been doing it since he was 17. That seems like a kind of weird age for someone to be like starting.
And he started seeing the things at age 10.
And
after his grandma died.
He told his dad, and he got his father's approval. Maybe his father started talking to him for the first time in any sort of meaningful capacity.
Brian, why don't we put your little skepticism bullshit on hold and let me just tell you.
Okay,
because if you watch him, I think you'll see. There's no way he doesn't do. Lots of people do like really vague stuff. He's not vague. He's like, who's Rose? And they're like, my mom. Who's Joe? My dad. Okay, he died a year before.
That's what we saw last night. People being like, he's like, who's Paul? And they're like,
if you yell into a crowd of 3,000 people anything.
No, that's not how it went, Brian. It wouldn't. He would literally go, it's in this side of the room. Someone got hit by a car. This was a very long time ago. Someone was helping someone by a road and their name got hit by a car. And their name and their birthday is February is Valentine's Day. It's a mother. And someone go, my sister's birthday is Valentine's Day. And you go, no, it's a mother.
Probability.
It's someone's
This
someone's
side of the
daughter
room is
is
still
here.
1,000
No.
people,
And then
and
they come
1,000
up-
If
people
it
have
is
1,000 relatives
probability-
each.
No, it would
Then
be.
he's
I'm not kidding
really
you. It would be a
talented.
section, Brian. It would be like 200 people.
And then he would come up, they would come up to the microphone, and then he would say, okay, who's Rose? And they'd say, my mom. Who's Joe? My dad. They'd start, they'd
Then
start
they
So
start
he
crying.
named back
Then
to
he'd
back
be like,
the
okay,
mom
I'm sorry
and
your
dad's
mom-
name.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, dude.
And
yes.
who's Joe? My
Wait,
brother.
So Joe is the mom,
And then-
the dad, and the brother.
They all died within, and then why is your family estranged? Why is your sister's dead, but you didn't talk to her for years before she died? Stuff like that. Like
That's
he
just
couldn't
reading
ever,
people.
unless he had plants and St. Louis.
And he really, yes, but these people would not be good actors.
They
I will
were
say for the St. Louis crowd, it was insane. There was okay, St.
It was
Louis, get your shit
painful.
together a little bit, okay? Because I talked to the guy afterwards who was walking us back to meet Tyler, and I go, so they have microphones set up throughout this theater, right? So when Tyler throws out a thing and it fits your description, like I'm talking about a mother whose birthday is February 14th. My mom died on February 14th. No, her birthday. Okay, then finally someone, by the way, St. Louis, know who in your life is dead. Know things about them. Because I'm
Know
not even
your own
joking you.
name.
This was one of the ones was like, there was one that was so highly specific. This was hilarious. Okay. There's someone in the crowd who their loved one, he goes, a loved one showed up on the operating table. Like this person was doing their job as a paramedic or maybe a doctor, and their loved one showed up in their ER or in their ambulance, and they would go, oh my God, this is my friend. There was some discovery. It's not a person that came upon them on the road. It's someone who their job is helping people, and it was their friend, and it was a brother, and it was like, he gets so specific, and he would just, and then the audience would be like totally silent because everyone's like, no, that's not me, right? And he's like, it's over in this section, maybe it's in the very back, it's somewhere in the back. And we would all be looking back there like, where are you? Because at this point, he has had 5 in a row that are just spot on. Like he knows the section of the room, it's specific. There's always someone whose hand goes up. And by the way, they always go up late, but this person took so long.
like 8
and
minutes.
we're all just like waiting. It was almost like when the teacher is like, who cheated? I know that someone cheated, and you're just waiting like, come on, dude. Just like someone's got to step up. Just admit you did it. These people cannot. How do you go to a show wanting to talk to your dead relatives, but you can't remember a story of which they
Wait
showed
a
up on your
minute. Okay, so
operating
this
table?
reminds,
And it
this
takes
reminds
you.
me of when I was like in high school or whatever, and we had a sleepover and we did the Ouija board. And like everyone promises, we're not going to move it. We're not going to move it.
Yes.
But then it's like, somebody moved it. So maybe like.
You all move it because your hands are like shaking. And then everyone moves into the movement. I think that's how that works.
I straight moved it.
Because you're psychic, bitch.
That's right. I'm a psychic sidekick.
So, but St. Louis, my family, we were getting so frustrated with these grieving people because they would finally be like, I think that's me. I'm like, 5 minutes later, you just realize that there's a Linda whose birthday is Valentine's Day. There was one woman whose he goes, a mother whose birthday is February 14th. It took till February 14th for this bitch to raise her hand. And I go, how do you not know that? But they were so like, I think it's me. And then they would take literally 20 minutes to walk to the microphone. Most of the show was wasted by St. Louisans not knowing how to get to a microphone and being like, I'll go down
very
this.
obvious where they were.
There was no run. There was no like urgency in their walk. It's like
the seats weren't close together. You could easily walk.
It was
through
insane. I was so embarrassed for St. Louis. I was like, these people were not hobbled. They were not wearing heels. They could have just and they get to the microphone and he's like, now is there a Linda? And then they're just like, Linda, I don't think so. And then they go, oh, I'm Linda. Like it would literally be that. Like my name's Linda. They were so, I'm sorry, St. Louis, there's like a lead poisoning problem or something.
Seriously.
It really made me nervous for our town.
The woman who said the operator, like you are a doctor and your brother
God.
shows up on the operating
God.
table, right? This woman took 5 minutes to get to the mic and then he's like, okay, so can you tell me how this fits? And she was like, I had a friend who was a doctor and someone died.
They were
like, Tyler was like, oh, so he treated him. So the guy was dying and no.
Yeah, she was just like,
sit down.
And she took 20 minutes to get the mic, and then he was like, no, sorry, that's not you. Sit down. And was like, okay, is anyone else? And he probably sussed
that out, that this is not going to be an entertaining person to talk to, so sit down.
No, there were tons of not entertaining. He went through everyone because they
had to pull
the cool thing about him is that if you get to the mic and it's not you, he would go, you know what, I'm still going to try to do a reading. So then he'd scribble in his notebook and he would give them something, and he did not fail at any point. I think there was one thing where they were like, I don't know how that applies.
The hair salon.
The hair salon thing.
Have you ever gone to the Magic Castle or something like that and saw a mentalist?
Yeah, I know Harrison Greenbaum. And
well, not Harrison Greenbaum, but there's really good. I don't know if Harrison Greenbaum's good at being a mentalist.
He used to do mentalist stuff.
There are these mentalists at places like the Magic Castle who will blow your mind with what they can predict, and it's all just reading a person and probabilities. You can just.
But isn't that impressive?
You're going to read someone's mom's name and dad's name and brother's
Yeah, that's a good
name.
point, Noah. Isn't that impressive, though? Because mentalists, I know they're not actually reading my mind. It seems like a skill, and I'm just like, oh, that's impressive that they learned the probability that I would say that color or that celebrity.
The mentalist, you go in knowing that it's a magic trick, and then you go into Tyler Henry, and you leave going, oh my God, my dead uncle actually didn't molest me. And it's like, I hope that makes you feel better, but now you have this false belief. That being said, I would.
What people have false beliefs all the fucking time.
From movies.
Who gives a shit?
I'll drop my cynicism because I would like to be a little happier.
Yeah, you're not talking about Catholic Church every week. Like we could do a podcast every week about a different church service where people are having this with no proof.
How much money this guy's making off of this? But I'll believe it if it makes you happy. If you left the performance happier and more like enchanted with the world, then I don't see who's harming.
I was just impressed.
What did EJ think?
Who's getting harmed?
I wasn't enchanted. Dad, I think Dad got a little bored because he didn't understand what he's in for. And it is tedious. I mean, like,
because of St. Louis.
Yeah, because St. Louis slowed it down. And so it was just it was hard to just, because Tyler has nothing to say while you're walking to the mic. And he's just kind of like trying to talk to us and say different stuff, but he's kind of just, he's tapping into something. So he's working while those people are walking to the mic. So there's just like dead silence in a room of 3,000 people while someone's taking the Oregon Trail to get to the fucking microphone. I was dying for someone I knew to come through just because I wanted to speed things up.
I know, I just wanted to like be clever.
It would be quicker if one of the audience members just died and then talk to him through his head.
Well, he said that because we were joking on the way there because it was a wintry mix. I was like, what if the car flips and we all die and we all come through on the show, but like there's no one there who loves us, so we can't get through? And he's like, there's a family of 5, and someone in the box office is like, well, there's 5 tickets on hold. Maybe it's for me. But he did say that one time he was at a reading and he said someone was dead and they had died that day and the person didn't know yet. And they came through.
Something like that actually happened to me.
Explain that, Brian.
Oh, wow. What a condescending. You sound like one of the spirits. What a
Well, something like that did actually happen to me.
Brian, I don't disagree.
One day, it was when I was in my early 20s, I had a dream that this guy, Leo Lancey, who I went to high school with, came to me in the dream, and I was exiting my high school, and he was outside, and he was like, hey, Brian. And I kind of like snubbed him. I was like, oh, hey, what's up? And I walked away because I was carrying a box or something. And then 3 days later, I learned that Leo Lancey had died 3 days earlier. He froze to death in the woods of West Virginia.
That's why you're a skeptic.
Oh my God, he froze to death.
He was like kind of like a drifter. He was probably on drugs, and he got on a train car and rode it and probably just like got out and lost in the woods. And yeah,
God, freezing to death. Ooh. It sounds good at the. I've talked about this before, but when you're hypothermic or whatever, I forgot what it's called. Hypoxia. When you have hypoxia, you strip off all your clothes because you get really hot right before. So they oftentimes find people who die of hypothermia, totally stripped naked in the snow,
because they're burning.
Yeah, they feel like they're and then they gently go to sleep, like it's a gentle sleep. I saw just a thing from when I was at the Emmys. They were just showing some clip from a movie, like some documentary. It was just a clip, like when they're saying the nominees, And it's this old man on his deathbed, and there's this woman that's like, "Are you ready to go, Papa?" It's probably about end of life stuff. And he was like, "I'm ready to go on to the next adventure." And I was like, that gave me so much hope. I love looking at life that way of like, it's just on to the next one.
I hope that's true. No, I would love to believe something like that. I hope that's true. I would love to be as delusional and ignorant as that man on my deathbed, where I actually believe that there's a next adventure after you die.
It's a positive mental attitude, dude.
I kind of hate adventures, so I feel like I'd be like, oh God, I have to go to REI and get gear. I don't want to do this.
I have to hike? I don't think so.
Oh, why is God an outdoorsman? It makes me...
God loves all his creations, and that includes this steep hike.
I believe in a God. I believe in energies. I just hope that your own consciousness is carrying on is the thing I just have not been convinced of yet. And I hope to God that that's something that happens. Otherwise, you are your brain, you are your consciousness, and if that ceases to exist, then you cease to exist and will never return again.
It's like a dead computer.
Yeah.
Like it just...
The only thing I can think of is like if you go into like the multiverse or the fact that time is just a construct, that there's a possibility that time is just a construct of your brain, which is what's interpreting all of the data that's being input into your brain. And therefore, you are always alive and always dead simultaneously. Your brain is just the one interpreting this as time passing. So that's the one thing that's kept me like, maybe there's a little inkling of hope.
But you don't believe Tyler Henry, but you believe that? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, at least mine has some psychological
Tyler's just a man.
Tyler's just a man.
He's but a man.
He's yelling out, "Who's named Rose?" in a crowd of 3,000 people. And after 15 minutes, someone says, "My bus driver's named Rose."
No way.
Okay, come on down.
He says, "How did this person?" I will say that everyone in St. Louis has died of COPD, heart disease, and like, cancer.
I mean, it could be that he looks at the statistics,
fluid on the lungs
before he gets into the town.
But it's like. But I also, my dad was like, "Oh yeah, so everyone has lung disease." Like, it's like, that's what you die of. And it's like, but it is though. So like, is he supposed to only have interesting deaths? Like, is that make him a hack just because he's saying they died of cancer or a heart attack? Like, that is generally how most people go. But like, so do those people not get to come through if, let's say it's true, you know? So I was just like, yeah, I mean, it's not always going to be getting hit by a car or some like interesting thing. There was a girl that was like, her sister was murdered. That was pretty interesting. He doesn't say murder. He says their life was taken from them.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what that meant at first. I'm like, isn't that what everyone
Because
happens?
I thought that could be murder, or it could be
God taking your life.
Yeah, or it could be like someone pulls the plug. I was
murder.
Like, that's the first time I was like, that was a little vague.
Oh, you mean pull the plug in like a humane way of like, let's take her off life support. Oh yeah, no, that bitch is girl. She was filming the whole time too. She's like crying and she's like holding up her camera like
and looking at herself on the camera.
Yeah, and looking at the camera as she's crying like she was murdered and in the state of Texas. Oh, it was like a weird story because he was like, "There's no justice. There hasn't been justice," and she's like, "There hasn't been." It was so crazy because she's like, "My sister was murdered, but." In Texas, the law is they don't get the death penalty unless they've murdered more than one person. And also they have to rape the person. And my sister wasn't raped and that he probably did murder other people, but we can't prove it. And Tyler was like, "You're never going to get that justice. His justice will be served in the afterlife."
I'll chat with him later. Don't worry.
Ty's going to get ya.
Yeah.
Ty's going to get ya. I believe it. I loved it.
This person's sister, when he dies, is he going to get to talk to Tyler Henry and be like, "Hey, can you tell my sister-in-law that I actually loved her ice cream"?
Wait, the murder guy will come through?
Does he ever talk to a bad person? Or is every single person he talked to just like, "I want to tell my cousin that I love them"? Or what if a bad person wants to talk to him and is like, "I want to tell that bitch wife that
what he says is that people aren't defined. No, I think he says that a lot of times the ghosts are pushy and he has to have good boundaries with them and be like, "No, we're done." He does say that sometimes they're like, he's like, I have to practice my boundaries with the physical realm of like humans in my life and spirits. And we all laughed because don't we all need to practice our boundaries?
I'm just a little self-care.
Loved it. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back after this.
You're a bicycle.
All right. So yes, we went to Tyler Henry last night. It was fun. It was nice to have Taylor along with our family. is it fun for you to go to, like, do you feel so at ease with my family? Because I'm always like, God, if I was just with another family, I'd be like, this kind of sucks. Like, I can't really be myself, but like my family's pretty chill.
They're so chill. When I got home, I was like, I just felt like I was with my family.
Depends on the family.
Yes, that's totally.
I've gone hiking with your parents.
That's a good point.
It felt like childhood.
I know, that's insane. I've never gone hiking with my parents. Noah's gone hiking with my parents.
It was great.
Yeah, they're pretty easy.
Your dad is full of information, and your mom is just like so funny to talk to.
Yes. My dad is so full of information. He has an anecdote.
Groucho Marx jokes.
Yes. He was so mad last night because we got preferred parking at the venue, which was really nice. It was like, it's nice to get that little perk because I'm Nikki G and I've been there before. And Chris got us tickets. So through his radio station, he got tickets and preferred parking for me. It was so nice. And then, so we get free tickets. My dad doesn't even want to go to this, I don't think, but he's, I'll go. So then he goes and and then we're leaving and we're like stuck in the parking lot. It's going to be maybe 10 minutes. It's not like it's 2,000 seat venue. It's not going to be insane. We're going to be in traffic all night long or anything. It's like I've been around long enough, and certainly my dad has, that we know this traffic is no more than 10 minutes in the parking lot waiting to get out. But my dad goes, preferred parking, yes. They don't even have anyone for, and I go, what was that? And he's like, well, I'm just saying, if you're going to get preferred parking, you should be able to get out. And I go, oh, is like there a thing where if you complain enough, because he kept doing it, I kept going like, yeah, Dad, well, I guess I won't do preferred parking next time. We'll park on the edge and that'll be, and he's like, I'm just saying. And then we change subjects and he gets back to it. Preferred parking. And I go, is there a thing? It's cool that there's a thing where if you complain enough, your car grows wings and you can fly. I didn't know that was a thing, because what is the fucking point of complaining so much? To keep saying it, to keep making
that's
me feel bad.
The dad way.
Based on your impression,
I find myself being that way, and I feels
like it was really bothering him and eating at him that he was given this preferred parking and it didn't pan out to what he imagined, and that kind of like ate at him or something.
Yeah, well, yes, he blamed the preferred parking. So the good thing turns into the bad thing so often. Like, we'll get free. It'll be so cool. I'll take my parents out to dinner and we'll get like something free or something. And my dad will be like, doesn't even have syrup on it. Or like they didn't even put syrup on the baklava. And I go, but it's free. So why are you complaining?
Is he getting any joy out of that?
We got all these tickets.
Undercutting it a little?
Yes. Yes, because it's like, it's the thing of like, you get to blame something else for your situation. Like you get to, complaining is my dad's favorite thing. Like and the only reason I'm annoyed by it, Dad, if you're listening, is because I find myself doing it so often. I'm like turning into my dad where I can't not complain about something. Like we went to dinner when we were on a ski trip a couple weeks ago, and my boyfriend's brother was so like cool and made these reservations at the Ritz, and it was like a really expensive dinner where a side of asparagus is like $26. I mean, it was insane. But our table had a giant spotlight under. It was like this really dark, cool, like cabiny type restaurant, and our table just had this giant harsh lighting above it. Like I kept doing like interrogations where I was like, "Tell us where you buried her," because it looked exactly like that, and I just couldn't stop complaining about it. I couldn't because this makes more sense to complain about because it's fixable. We literally couldn't get out of the parking. There was no way to change the traffic situation. My dad goes,
he is offering solutions. He believes that they could fix the entire institution of preferred parking by having a dedicated traffic officer.
But I don't work for the factory. There's no way I can get that. We can't pass this legislation there in the car. But
at a certain point, it does get funny. When you're doing the interrogations, that's funny. Now it's a bit. So it's bringing, yeah.
Well, that was funny because the waitress came over and Curran was like, Curran did what I needed him to do, which is like, and both Chris and Curran were like, do you want to move? And I go, no, it's fine. Even though I was like, yes, but I just don't see another table where we can go to. And I understand that waitresses sections are like, people always go, well, why can't I just sit over there? And it's like, because this waitress has a section and this is just how they do it. And now she's going to lose out on a table if you don't stay in this section. So I don't want to fuck over the waitress. So I was just kind of trying to make fun of it in a way that made it fun or something, but I was still complaining. And then Curran was like, we're fixing this. So he got up and he's charming and went and talked to the waitress. And she came back and was like, is this not good? And I was like, it just feels like I'm like, tell us where she is, and I did an impression. She didn't care for it. She was like definitely a Russian immigrant who did not speak the language of American comedy.
My dad didn't tell me where the body was buried either.
She's been dealing with that her whole life from the Russian gulag. And she's like, why did you just brought her back.
What body?
But then we changed tables because I complained enough. But I do find myself, I really am trying to keep it in check because it's becoming apparent to me that I am just always dissatisfied and nothing's ever good enough. And I don't like being a complainer because I just see how pointless it is. And it's just, but I do get annoyed when a restaurant that is otherwise has a perfect ambiance, either has a vent blowing on you or has really loud music or has a weird spotlight right on your table. Or if you're getting a facial and there is a huge overhead light that the woman won't turn off. Like, I won't stop. I can't be a person that's just like, this is just the way it is and I'm going to enjoy it. Like, I can't deal with it. If there's a woman next to me who is listening to her phone on speaker, I won't calm down. I can't deal with it. Because I might be complaining because there is this moment before I'm too scared to do something about it.
Right.
But I'm in this like uncanny valley where I'm like, if I complain enough, maybe I'll work up the courage
mad
to
at
do
yourself
something.
for not being assertive.
Yeah, but I really don't want to be a complainer anymore.
I have a restaurant dilemma I want to throw your way. I want you to give me the answer.
Please.
So I went to Texas last year to go to a football game, and then after the football game, just that context, there's a lot of people around. We went to a restaurant. We had a reservation there, very busy. It was a table of, 12 people. And we ordered our food. We ordered a lot of food. We ordered appetizers.
Oh, that's so many people. That stresses me out already. Going to a restaurant with 12 people.
It was a very long table. Imagine like a medieval table. Yeah, Last Supper table. And so there was my end of the table and there was the other end of the table. And the other end of the table, I don't know what's going on over there. They're talking about something. We get our appetizers pretty fast. But then between the appetizers and the entrees, and the appetizers, not everybody got appetizers. So like some of us were eating. Between the appetizers and the entrees, there was about 45 minutes that passed. Where the waiter came out like one time to be like, don't worry, it's coming soon. I didn't know this. On my end of the table, we're just chatting. We're enjoying each other's company. We're having a good time. On the other end of the table, there is like quiet murmurs of revolution happening. They are like so upset that the food's not coming. And after about 45 minutes, one of the people at the other side of the table, without polling my side of the table, went to the waitress and said, we'd like to cancel our order. We don't want the entrees. We just want to leave.
What?
So then on behalf of both sides, they canceled the order. The waiter was so flustered and was like, oh, okay.
They probably already
brought us
what
the
an
check,
asshole.
And then we had to all together as a unit get up and leave the restaurant without eating our entrees.
What?
So
that's so weird. Who is this person and how are you connected to them and how can you never ever talk to them again the rest of your life? Because this is an entitled motherfucker. There was 4 or 5
of them. They were discussing this. They were all in agreement that this is taking too long.
Well, what? But when you get outside the restaurant, did you go, what the fuck was that, you guys? I still want my food. Why didn't you just stay and eat your food and pay for your food?
From my side of the table, I was slightly embarrassed. I was also perfectly fine just sitting there and waiting. And I understood that but they were taking an extremely long time. And it was one of those situations where it was like an open kitchen. You can see the kitchen. You can see what they're working on. And then they put the plates out on a counter. And so you can see what's up next. And we had been waiting for almost an hour and our food wasn't even being prepared. So they knew that like, this is just not happening.
But how can they not pass a note down to you guys?
That's the thing. I was like, well, we should have been consulted in this decision. This was a table decision.
Yeah.
Is this a person like? You don't like this person, right? Who
I love all these
this
people.
Uprising? There's no way you like this person.
I've been friends with all these people.
Did you not go? What the fuck was that?
There's a couple of people that annoy me frequently.
Were you not comfortable enough with them?
It was shocking, quite frankly. I was like, what? What? We're leaving?
I would be irate. I would have stayed and just to prove a point. Because then where did you go?
Nowhere. I went back to the hotel. I had a separate hotel that night, and I just ate a complete cookie and went to bed hungry. But I also had my appetizer. Honestly, it saved us a lot of money because after eating my appetizer, I was like, I don't think I need the entree. But
got it. Okay, so all you need was your little dessert.
Didn't even get like some of them didn't get appetizers, so they were just sitting there for over an hour with no food.
I don't like these people. I think it's so rude. What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, they should have consulted you for sure. I get it that you want to like get in there before they cook your food because that's smart. If they had already started cooking it, I'd be more.
Here's the thing: when you go to a restaurant, take note of how many different tables are sitting down with menus in front of them. That means all of those people are going to get their orders in before you. If it's more than 3 tables, the restaurant's going to be slammed. You are going to wait an hour for your food. That is just the way it is, folks. So when I go to a restaurant, I always look around right away to see how many people haven't ordered yet, where everyone is in their meal, how slammed the kitchen's going to be. And I often, if you ever dine with me, you'll know that I go, guys, figure out what you want to eat. Like almost before, let's do the drink order and food order right away. Right. Because we got to beat that table that was sat at the same time as us.
And also you appetize accordingly. If you know it's going to take a while, then you make sure to get an
And why does everyone need appetizers? Just get your appetizers with your food. Doesn't everyone like to eat everything together? Why do we have to do stages of food?
Because if you know it's going to take an hour, then you want some olives or nuts.
No, because they'll bring it
I
when
like
it's
everything
ready.
Together. I'm with you on that boat.
I do. I don't understand this. Like we have to like extend. But I'm a fast
here's
person.
what I want. If I'm having dinner with Nikki, I want to get my appetizer immediately, and then I want Nikki to get her food all at once because I eat maybe 1/10 as quickly as Nikki does. So I need to have the time to catch up.
Brian eats so slow. I don't even know how he has any meat on his bones.
That's why your friends tried to leave without you in mutiny.
My brother-in-law has learned how to eat fast from dining with the Glazers so often because he used to be left in the fucking dust. We would be having like after dinner coffee as he was taking his second bite. And so he has learned now to like shovel it down. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but we just
the last time I was at
fast.
a diner with you in LA, I had to say, by the way, I know it looks like I'm not close to being finished with these pancakes or whatever, but I'm done. I'm just picking at it and we can leave whenever you want. Because you guys are already like done for 5 minutes, and I had like, it looked like they had just brought out my plate.
Yeah, but were you really done, or were you just saying that?
I was really done. Yeah.
Okay, I trusted you. I don't think you're a liar. Okay, we have to go. We'll have the podcast tomorrow. Can't wait for it. We're actually recording it right after this, so just to be honest with you. So we'll see you tomorrow on the show. Come see us in Florida this weekend, 19th and 20th in Fort Pierce and Daytona Beach. Brian and I will both be performing there. You can get tickets at nikkiglaser.com. And as always, thank you for listening to the podcast. Don't be and just believe.
Just believe in Tyler.
Let's go.